Here I am with the David Woodhead. We're in one of these late night showcase rooms at Folk Music Ontario.
Yeah.
This is quite the wild thing. Every guest room on 2 floors has musicians playing and singing and
It is crazy.
having fun.
And there's crazy things happening in the hall too.
Yeah,
Oh, it's wild.
there's all that.
Yeah.
2 double basses trying to get past each other in the
Yeah, it's
hallway.
with a sousaphone in between.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, David. You have a brand new book.
Ta-da!
And this book is called Evidence of Ecstasy. This is an awesome book. I'm just so happy that
Thank
you created
Yeah.
it.
I did.
What was the motivation there?
Well, I kept showing people pictures. I know somebody would say something, oh, Willie P. Bennett. And I'd say, oh, because I do title my pictures in digital, and as well as having scanned a whole lot of stuff from slides and negatives and scanned prints and all kinds of stuff. So I have all this stuff in the computer. And so if somebody says, say, Willie P. Bennett, I go, oh, Willie P. Bennett, what do I have? Oh, that's a cool one. And so I kept doing that, and I realized I have all this stuff in the archive, like literally in the closet or in the drawer or in all this stuff.
So you have the material.
I have the material, and it seemed like I could just forget about it, and or I could make something interesting of it that people would be interested in.
And something tangible.
Something, yes,
visible.
it is very tangible.
It's beautiful, this book.
It is a three-dimensional object.
And it's mostly photos with captions.
Yeah,
and
short captions.
Identifiers.
Yeah, mostly identifiers and maybe a simple story.
Yeah.
And I tried to keep it so that most of the pictures could stand on themselves as photographs, as well as being historical or archival or whatever. But some of them actually stand as photographs. Although I never intended to be a professional photographer.
Well, this is what I wanted to know, because you've been immersed in music for your whole life, literally. A very musical family that you come from, and that's the first chapter, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Those early musical influences.
Yeah.
But how did the photography come into it? You're just snapping shots as...
My parents shot pictures everywhere they went.
Okay.
They always had cameras and a camera bag and different lenses and all that kind of stuff. And we'd have slideshows. We come home from a family vacation, and there'd be a slideshow on a screen, and so I went through all that stuff. I had all my parents' stuff.
So it just seemed natural to capture scenes as you were traveling on your way.
Absolutely. I just had a camera. It wasn't a particularly great one in the 70s. I had a Praktica and then an Olympus OM1. So, not like cutting edge or anything, and it's not like I had a Nikon. Although now I have a Nikkor mat, which is like, a hammer, but it's a great camera.
But in those days, you were traveling a lot.
So
you were traveling with Perth County Conspiracy.
Yeah. You
were traveling with Stan and Garnet Rogers.
Absolutely, yeah.
And who else were you actually doing a lot of traveling with?
In the 70s, let's see. Well, in the 70s, mostly like with Perth County, my first trip to Winnipeg was in the school bus, and we ran out of gas. The other side, there's pictures of the school bus.
That's the what bus?
The what bus, exactly. So there's interior and exterior pictures of that. But we ran out of gas the other side of Thunder Bay.
Oh.
In February on our trip back from Winnipeg.
I think that's kind of mandatory. If you want to be a Canadian musician, you got to run out of gas.
That's my first trip west, right?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Is it true that there were organ pipes on the top of the bus?
Well, that was just an idea, and I ran that by.
That would play as the bus drove along.
Yeah, and we'd have like little things that we could toot, right? That was just an idea.
That was a concept. Okay.
Yeah, and I ran that by Russ Bentley, who I'm Facebook friends with, and we're back and forth on a bunch of stuff.
Now,
he was the driver and maintenance guy.
I noticed in the book you referred to a certain point that was a turning point that got you connected with Perth County's conspiracy that led to so many other opportunities.
And Arthur McGregor, who is here, I shared an apartment with him on 4th Avenue, 4th and Bank.
In Ottawa.
In the Glebe. And I also played at Roosters, which was his coffee house at Carleton at the time. This is before the Ottawa Folklore Centre.
Yeah.
And so at one of those Roosters gigs at Carleton in the student building, I ran into Judy Crocker and David Balser, who were playing with some other people, but they were also working with Perth County Conspiracy, and they said, "Oh, playing with you is really fun. Why don't you come and visit us in Stratford sometime?" So,
and then through another chance occurrence, you did end up doing that.
Yeah. Well, the other chance, a gig in St. Catharines with a country band evaporated, and I went, oh, well, what am I going to do now? That's terrible. So I basically moved to Stratford at the drop of a hat like that. That's how chancy things are, and that's an ongoing thing, I think, with musicians. You know,
we see
you meet
even
somebody,
here at this conference this weekend.
Classic.
Some kind of a random connection.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden somebody got booked for a gig or they became part of somebody's band.
You bet.
That happens.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody sees somebody and it's funny how those connections happen because, you know, you can sort of spot when somebody's on your wavelength. Like it's one thing to get hired for a gig, like, oh, here's a country gig and everybody knows those tunes or they're not hard, and you know, or some kind of gig where you're reading charts or that kind of professional musician thing. But to make the connections with people who are of your mind is really important, and I feel really lucky to have made those connections several times. Like
I agree. And looking through this book, yes, you've been so fortunate to play with excellent human beings.
Yeah, good human beings
that also play music.
That also play music, and that I can connect with.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm enhancing their musical vision, and they're enhancing mine.
Yeah. So it's a mutual respect, and the listeners benefit from that.
Yeah. A good example is when iMusic, where I met Oliver Schroer and Don Ross. We had a band that was Oliver Schroer, Don Ross, and me and Mark Duggan, who played tablas and marimba. And the band was sort of doomed because we were just, I don't know, we're just in between the cracks, you know? Like it's not something you can summarize.
Nobody could categorize.
But we shared a wavelength.
Yeah.
You know, like when we played together, and Don Ross reissued that a live performance by iMusic.
Nice.
So he mixed it and mastered it.
Oh, that was called iMusic.
iMusic, but
long before the iPhone.
Yeah, that's right. It was EYE. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, EYE.
Yeah,
okay.
iMusic. Okay. Yeah, but that was a classic example of that. Like, you know, we met each other. We said, okay, I want to play with you. You know, not just any fiddle player, but Oliver.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really not just any fiddle player. And he's a musical visionary. And Don Ross is the same, you know, like, and Mark Duggan has his own thing, you know, so as a collective, it was amazing. I mean, it felt like we really launched a thing, like that was our own unique thing, which was impossible to market. So that's how it
it doesn't always go together.
No, that's the market.
But again, from my point of view, and yours also, you're so fortunate to have been able to make those connections through music.
Yeah.
And then to have those experiences, traveling around, delighting audiences, and having all kinds of other experiences along the way. I think in here you mentioned going to Australia, Tasmania, was it?
Not Tasmania, actually, but
Australia.
I spent a month in Australia with James Keelahan, who I do most of my touring with. Like, we're a duo, and again, we have a really nice connection. Like I find him really easy to play with. Like, he's a rock solid guitar player, and he allows me to explore like little solos and colors and things and sort of orchestrate what he does. Not everybody would like that. And I've found, you know, there have been gigs where I'm just too busy as a bass player or too crazy or whatever it is, but I'm not staying in the, you know, stereotype of the bass player. So I feel lucky that I work with people like Keelahan, who see that and go, let's go for it, you know?
Yeah, they give you that latitude to explore that.
And he's a brilliant writer, and wow, what can I say about him? It's fantastic.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk about this book, Evidence of Ecstasy, in a minute or so, but how about something just a little free-form?
Okay.
Because you're known,
I'll do
well, it doesn't have to be on bass. How about this lovely instrument?
Well, I can do, Let's see now. I will.
And this is the octave mandolin.
Yeah.
Which is in the cello range. We heard you playing this morning live on CKCU FM and YouTube. You were playing an absolutely beautiful old song.
Yeah. It's actually not that old. It sounds old.
It sounds old. Yeah.
This song has a history, and it was in the film. I'm just going to turn that up. Oh, I know. gathering storm, unworthy though we are, and leave us living safe and warm and sheltered in your arms. Calling out of grace are we, sinless nevermore to be delivered from the gathering storm, unworthy though we are. Da 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 deliver us from the shadows of fear and brighten all our nights, and lead us living safe and warm, till our tongues delight. Falling out of grace are we, sinless nevermore to be delivered from the gathering storm, unworthy though we are. Da 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 da
Yay! Yeah. David Woodhead, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
David,
come on in.
Yeah, come on in.
We're mostly talking book here.
This is fascinating. I just have a couple more questions for you.
Absolutely.
About the book, because the way these events go, we're on to the next.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
I'm sure you.
The time slot is evaporating here.
Oh man!
But in the meantime, here's my thought. So here's you, and here's your book, and this is coming out on. Tell me again, the name of the press is
Semaru Press.
Semaru, and their imprint.
I have a mailing list.
Okay.
And so I'm really easy to find. If you remember my name, David Woodhead. I'm davidwoodhead.com, and you can go there, send me an email, say what you'd like to know about the book, and you'll see there's a page about the book on my homepage that describes it and says more or less what's going on.
Okay, that's a nice invitation.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a longer talk sometime.
You bet.
Basically about every page in this book, because every page is interesting, and you had a lot of photos and memories to choose from, and these are the ones that got selected.
It's been really great that people want to actually share in that.
Yeah.
That, it's not just me, it's not just about me, but it's about the full community and particularly in the 70s when not a lot of people had cameras.
Yeah, and there's a whole
Like-
chapter on Canadian folk festivals.
Yeah, that's the longest
How
chapter. Holy
important
cow!
has that been
Yeah.
for all of us?
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
incredibly important. So
Yeah.
here's my question.
Yeah.
This is a way of summing up in a way. You're looking back, you're summing up,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
bringing this out to the public.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to this quote from you that's right near the start.
Okay.
It turns out there was a long haul. See, now
Oh, yeah.
that you're looking back,
Oh, yeah,
a
you bet.
long haul,
Yeah, yeah.
a long life was possible in the arts,
Yeah.
given a flexible attitude.
Right. That is so true.
Yeah.
Like if
So
I
that's
just
been your experience.
if I just as a freelancer, you know, like I feel like there's certain flexibility. And you know, when I say, you know, it's really nice to connect with people who are like you have a special connection with, but in the meantime, you can keep working at all different kinds of music things, production stuff, writing for film,
Teaching? Have you been
touring.
teaching?
I don't do too much teaching. I've done a little bit,
Yeah.
like at Goderich Celtic College,
Yeah.
places like that.
Yeah.
So the teaching is like some people just go right into teaching and that's their thing and they're good at that.
Yeah.
I sort of didn't learn from being taught, so in a way I'm like a little ignorant of how somebody would go about teaching somebody from A to B.
Right. You learned by doing.
Yeah, very
Which
much
is a nice
so.
way,
And
yeah.
I learned from some amazing mentors.
We're finishing up our chat here about the
Yeah,
book. I've got one final question because I
Yeah.
know we're on to the next here in
Sure
the
thing.
showcase room.
Yeah, we are.
But I just want to say there are some beautiful photos of Stan Rogers and Garnet Rogers in
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And there's even a photo of Stan's 4 bass players
At the wake.
that got together at the
Stan's
wake for
wake.
Stan Rogers.
I know it's.
But, yeah.
Well, that's something I decided not to talk about too much in this book.
Yeah.
Was how many people who are depicted in the book
Are not with us
not with us anymore.
Yeah.
And you know, somebody said, "Oh, well, you should make a list at the end of the book of all the people who have died." And it's like, I just don't think so. You know, I'd rather show them as like living, playing music.
Yeah,
and,
and
you know,
the joy
like,
they brought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the connection that you had.
Yeah,
with
let's
them.
leave it like that.
Yeah.
You know.
But here's my question though, with regard to Stan Rogers, how did
Yeah.
that connection get formed?
Oh, Stan. Well, let's see. I did sort of a Perth County session at the CBC with Cedric Smith and Terry Jones
Yeah.
that Paul Mills produced.
Oh, yes.
For Touch the Earth,
Yeah,
which
that was a
remember that
national
Touch the
radio
Earth?
show that
Yeah,
was
it's
so important
Sylvia
to the
Tyson
folk roots
hosted.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I did. I played on that,
Oh.
and that went well. And Paul
ended up
liked my
producing a
play.
bunch of
No,
albums
he doesn't
with
remember
Stan.
it exactly like this, but
Oh.
I think the timeline lines right up because we did the session in something like March of '76. And by like April, I'm playing with Stan in Labrador for 2 weeks in a disco.
And having
True
beer
story.
bottles thrown at you.
Well, no.
Okay.
No. But, you know, this was at the height of like Donna Summer. Ooh, love to love you, baby.
They didn't want to hear Stan's original music all
Not
that
really,
much.
not really.
no.
And they said, oh yeah, we got a $10,000 sound system. You don't have to bring any PA. So the $10,000 sound system, of course, was for the disco.
Oh.
And it's like aimed at the dance floor.
Oh.
So we found this little PA so we'd, you know, the thumping disco would stop and we move our little microphones out on the dance floor and we play watching the apples grow. You know. Yeah, for 2 weeks. For 2
Yes.
weeks. And we stayed in
In Labrador.
in an airless basement room in Labrador City.
So many awesome
yeah.
memories.